When you stop caring what others think, you don't become a monster, you become free. But here's the paradox Nietzsche discovered. Freedom comes with a cost. The moment you stop living for approval, the world starts to turn against you, and only those strong enough to face that isolation can ever discover who they truly are. This is Nietzsche's truth, a lesson about power, individuality, and the courage to walk alone. We live in a world built on validation. Every post, every opinion, every action shaped by one question: what will people think? Nietzsche saw this as the death of the self. He called it herd morality, the silent poison of society. To him, most people don't live. They imitate. They borrow their beliefs, their desires, even their morals from the crowd. They don't think. They conform. The moment you stop caring what others think, you shatter that illusion. But it's not comfortable. It's chaos. Because now, the only voice left to guide you is your own. In 19th century Europe, Nietzsche looked around and saw a society drowning in obedience to religion, to morality, to public opinion. He saw men who feared judgment more than death. They called it virtue. Nietzsche called it slavery. He wrote, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to teach him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently." To Nietzsche, caring too much about what others think was not humility. It was cowardice disguised as morality. He believed that greatness requires rebellion, that truth, creativity, and strength are born only when a person walks alone. When you stop seeking approval, you stop being a reflection of others and become a creator of yourself. But Nietzsche never lied to us. He didn't paint freedom as easy. He knew that walking alone brings suffering. When you stop caring what others think, you lose comfort, you lose acceptance, you might lose friends, family, even love. Because most people fear what they don't understand, and they will fear you. You'll be called arrogant, cold, detached, cruel. But Nietzsche would tell you this: you must be willing to burn in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes? Freedom from others' opinions is not peace. It's fire, and you must be willing to burn before you can rise. Nietzsche's ultimate vision was the Übermensch, the overman, the human being who transcends the herd and creates his own values. The Übermensch doesn't ask, "What do they think of me?" He asks, "What do I think of myself?" He doesn't measure worth by applause. He measures it by authenticity. He doesn't seek acceptance. He seeks becoming. Every time you act based on your own convictions, not society's, you take a step toward becoming that higher self. And that's why Nietzsche's message is terrifying. Because the price of becoming free is being misunderstood. But to him, that's a price worth paying. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Why does it feel so freeing to stop caring what others think? Because approval is control. And once you stop needing it, no one owns you. You stop being reactive. You stop chasing validation. You stop living in fear of judgment. You start creating. You start choosing. You start living. Nietzsche believed that the greatest act of strength is to say, "This is who I am, even if the world hates me for it." When you stop caring, you don't become emotionless. You become authentic. You begin to act, not perform. That's when your life starts aligning with truth, not expectation. In Nietzsche's time, people conformed to religion. Today, we conform to attention. Social media turned judgment into a marketplace. Likes, comments, views, they replaced the church bells and the public square. We no longer pray for salvation. We scroll for approval. And Nietzsche's warning rings louder than ever. He said society would produce men who obey for comfort, men too weak to stand alone. If Nietzsche lived today, he wouldn't tell you to delete your accounts. He'd tell you to stop being ruled by them, to create without begging for reaction, to think without waiting for agreement. Because the more you chase validation, the more you surrender your soul to the herd. True strength, Nietzsche said, comes not from dominance, but from indifference. When you stop caring, you become unpredictable, untouchable, free. You stop being swayed by every opinion, every insult, every whisper of disapproval. You develop what Nietzsche called the great health, a spiritual toughness that no criticism can pierce. You begin to value solitude, not as loneliness, but as clarity, because in silence, you finally hear your own mind again. When you stop caring what others think, something strange happens. You stop despising the crowd and start pitying it. You see how trapped they are in the endless loop of needing attention, fearing judgment, chasing trends. You understand that their mockery, their gossip, their criticism, none of it matters. They are not free. You are. You don't fight the herd anymore. You simply rise above it. This is Nietzsche's truth. Freedom doesn't come from rebellion alone. It comes from transcendence. You don't escape the herd by hating it. You outgrow it. At the end of his life, broken in body but free in spirit, Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." Those 4 words contain his entire philosophy. When you stop caring what others think, you begin the hardest, most painful, and most rewarding journey, the journey toward yourself. You stop being an echo. You become a voice.